Is Gabriel actually injured for game week 12, and could we just hold on to Semenyo for a little bit longer? In today's transfer tips video, we're taking a look at the hottest transfers in FPL right now, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on whether they should be transferred in or out of your FPL teams. So, let's get into this. Of course, one of the best players in FPL seems to be injured right now, and we're going to speak about that in just a second. If you are brand new to the channel though, go ahead and subscribe, and if you do enjoy today's video, drop a like as well. The like goal is 10 likes. But getting straight in here with Gabriel and his possible injury for game week 12, where he faces Spurs at home. What happened? Well, on international duty, as you can see in that beautiful Brazil top that he's wearing there, he seems to have went down with some discomfort in the 64th minute against Senegal. Now, for me, in my eyes, if he's went down and sort of hobbled slightly off the pitch, had a slow walk, it doesn't seem that bad, in all honesty. At the end of the day, if he's any way, shape or form fit for Spurs at home, he's going to play, isn't he? He's so incredibly important to Arsenal on that side and how they function as a squad. He needs to be in there for that fixture. The North London derby, he has to be playing. There's no way, if he's slightly fit, that he doesn't play this fixture. I understand the backups that Arsenal have could probably do a job and, do an okay job in this derby fixture, but I feel as though Gabriel's the absolute solid player you need for this type of game. And you've got Chelsea away in 13 after, you're going to need Gabriel for these games. So let's hope a little bit later in the week we'll get some more solid information about this potential injury that Gabriel has. If you are in a situation where you don't own Gabriel and you're wondering potentially could I bring him in for Spurs at home, I genuinely would wait 2 weeks with the information we have right now, because if he is injured and he doesn't play, these two games are pretty hard anyway. Spurs, Chelsea, we could probably hold off buying him till game week 14 if you don't own him right now. But I understand how it feels when, most weeks he's getting, an attacker return, clean sheets, he's consistent with his points, it seems. Of course, not against my team, Sunderland, but that's another story. Yeah, I think Gabriel's still one of the best players you can have at FPL, but right now I'd probably not buy him. I'd wait and hear some more information later in the week. I think selling Semenyo right now is way too rushed of a decision. It doesn't make a lot of sense to be selling him, in my opinion, with what's to come in terms of his fixtures and how good his attacking data is. He is still one of the best assets in the game for attacking data. I don't think just because in the last 3 games he's blanked that he needs to be sold. 8.1 million, yes, I understand, a little bit more pricey for a midfielder, and of course they've had a lot of price rises since the start of the season, Semenyo, but we've got West Ham at home this week. It's a brilliant game for him. Sunderland, Everton, Chelsea, United, Burnley at home. For me, I would absolutely be keeping the hold of Semenyo for game week 12 onwards. I think, yes, the blanks recently haven't felt great, but its data still has been okay within some of those games, especially the Aston Villa game. I believe it was 0.79 XG he had within that fixture, which is pretty ridiculous. So, yeah, for me, 8.1 million Semenyo. With the fixtures coming up, I'm seeing a little trend of people selling them. I'm seeing a lot of hate towards Semenyo for the last 3 game weeks. Please be patient. I think we should hold on to him. I personally bought him last week, and I'm so happy to have him for the up-and-coming fixtures. THIAGO is getting a lot of attention in FPL right now. Over 250,000 managers have already committed to the striker for game week 12 onwards. 6.3 million is a very nice price point for me personally for THIAGO, I believe. Look, 4 goals within the last 4 game weeks, including 2 against Newcastle, who were kind of, a really good defence, but have dropped off in the past few weeks. But still, to score 2 against Newcastle, he must be doing brilliant, surely. Well, the data itself looks pretty good. 0.55 expected goals per 90. And of course, look, I think it's 6.3. This type of player at this price, they don't come around often. We kind of looked before game week 11 who's around that price point, who we really like as forwards, because it's difficult to really get a forward that we're liking at the moment in FPL. It feels like Haaland is the only guy, and then there's kind of just punts everywhere else. But THIAGO, Welbeck, they seem like decent buys in FPL, and THIAGO kind of has stepped up a little bit further forward than Welbeck recently in my eyes as an FPL asset. Look, the fixtures coming now: Brighton, Burnley, Arsenal, Spurs, Leeds, Wolves. We're looking at Burnley, Leeds and Wolves there as really good opportunities for THIAGO to get some goals within the Premier League. I'm not as keen on Brighton, Arsenal and Spurs as they're all away fixtures. But the slightly easier fixtures there, 6.3 million, it seems like a good time to buy him in all honesty. But let me know in the comments what you're thinking of THIAGO. Is it kind of just a blip in form, a purple patch, or are we going to see this continue from the Brentford forward? Just to touch on Reijnders quickly and his position within the FPL world, he was a very hyped pick for the first few weeks. I thought he was going to be a great asset, but his minutes have dwindled, injuries have came about, of course not playing at all in the last fixture, and a lot of people have decided, look, this is enough, I'm selling, and week after week we've seen his ownership shoot all the way down. We're under 20% ownership now for Reijnders. I own him in my FPL team. We're coming up to a good fixture run. I'm really unsure what to do with him, so I'm going to kind of talk through that process with you here. Now, for me, with Reijnders, yes, he's played in the international break, but just before the international break, if you cast your minds back, we did know that there was a slight injury issue with Tijani Reijnders, and Pep mentioned that and said that's why he was rested in a few games. So, all good, no worries. We're now looking at the up-and-coming fixtures, with City just beating Liverpool in the last Premier League fixture. Does Reijnders get straight back into the squad against Newcastle away? I don't think he does. I really am unsure he starts against Newcastle. I believe he will come off the bench within that particular fixture. It's then, hard to see, could he start against Leeds? Could he start against Fulham? The trend continues now with a player who we thought was nailed for Manchester City in the midfield as a cheap option starts to become not so nailed, not as reliable, and his data really isn't too impressive with the issues he's had in the past few weeks. We are coming to a good fixture run, and there is hope that he can start a lot of these games for City, but I'm not too sure it's going to be the case. We'll have to make sure that his injury isn't a problem anymore. But like I said, he played in the international break. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue going forward. Do I still think he's a sell? Yes, but I might genuinely hold on to him just with the fixtures coming up to see and just keep him on my bench for now. Let's hope he doesn't go too down in value in that short amount of time. A huge differential we could consider this week, and I think could be an interesting buy for the next few weeks, is Nico O'Reilly. Playing left back for Manchester City has looked unbelievable, but as an FPL asset, I think there are a few things we need to highlight and be aware of about the City player. Now, it's always the case when you say City player, you instantly think of minutes. Is this player going to play consistent 90 minutes, consistent 80 plus minutes for my side? Well, we need to be aware of Nico O'Reilly's position for Manchester City. He is merely a squad player. He just fills in when he can. But with Aït-Nouri being injured for sort of the start of the season, he started to play a lot more after that. And I think from game week 3 till about game week 9, he didn't play shy of 80 minutes in any of those fixtures. He was playing a lot of minutes for Manchester City, looked pretty decent. And then in the past 2 fixtures after that Aston Villa game where he only played 29 minutes, he's played back-to-back 90s, and he got an assist against Liverpool and a goal against Bournemouth. He's been really brilliant recently as an FPL asset. My only worry again comes down to minutes. Is Aït-Nouri going to be stealing a few minutes off Nico O'Reilly before he goes to African Cup of Nations around game week 17? That could be the case. We've got really good fixtures coming up here. I do think it's the case though that Pep understands that when Aït-Nouri goes, Nico O'Reilly will be the starting left back most likely for Manchester City. Guardiola could play in that position, but Guardiola has been playing a lot of centre-back for Manchester City recently, so I think Nico O'Reilly will fit into that left-back role. It's just in these next few weeks, are the minutes going to be as good as we've had recently? I think they could be pretty decent, but I wouldn't be surprised in a few of these games if he starts on the bench and Ait Nouri actually features as the left back. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but Nico O'Reilly has been such an important part of that Manchester City side at left back. I do think he will start most games, but again, it's a City asset. It's going to be Pep Roulette, it's going to be risky, but I think the upside with the fixtures coming up could be pretty big. For game week 12, Virgil van Dijk has roughly been bought and sold an equal amount of times. I've included him in today's video as a transfer out graphic just to highlight the fact that 40,000 managers have already decided enough is enough, and I'm selling him for game week 12. And that was really, really surprising to me. If you've held Virgil van Dijk for these hard fixtures where Liverpool have been out of form, surely you would hold him for this really good run of fixtures that is coming up. Fixtures breed form in my eyes, and I think even if Liverpool continue to be kind of subpar, still with these fixtures, Virgil van Dijk as a centre-back for Liverpool, his defensive contribution's been pretty decent, and you know, the likelihood of clean sheets being not so bad within these games compared to others, I think he's definitely a hold. I think I'm even considering buying him for this really good set of fixtures that's coming up. Of course, the form itself puts you off Liverpool assets massively, but do you not think within these games we're going to start to see a little bit more of a structured Liverpool side? I think we definitely could. We'll have to keep an eye on how they get on against Forest and obviously sort of decide whether it's time to invest, but even if we don't pay attention to that Forest game and we just jump straight into buying Liverpool assets again, I really don't mind it. I think Virgil van Dijk at 5.9 million for me is an absolute hold/buy this game week. Tomorrow you can expect an updated transfer plans for game week 12 for my squad, so make sure you're looking out for that. Of course, if you enjoyed today's video, drop a like, and if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click subscribe for future FPL content and FPL streams. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.